first of all, I need to start on July 22nd. We saw you wearing a green PAS vest at a political function in Kelantan. And many thought that, oh wow, we thought that it was impossible for you to do so. So, was it unthinkable for you as well?
Well, what we have found is that Umno, which before was tasked with looking after the interests of the Malays, but Umno have changed completely. Instead of working for the Malays, they are actually just working for money. They just want to make money from politics. So we cannot be with them. Now, if we cannot be with them, we have to be with somebody else. We have to try and bring back the Malays to their original love for their own country, their own race and all that. And we find that among the other parties, only PAS is confined to Malays, not mixed up with So if we want to find Malays who are interested in the welfare, in the problems of the Malays, PAS presents a platform. So we have, whether we like it or not, we have to be with PAS.
So, speaking of PAS, historically, in Kedah, for example, PAS, although it has always been conspicuous in terms of its presence in Kedah, but historically, PAS never put up much of an electoral fight in Kedah. However, in the recent state elections, it won a landslide result. Why do you think that happened?
Well, one has to remember that the electorate changed. The people who are voting today are not the same people who voted at the beginning of independence. At the beginning of independence, the people were very appreciative of independence. So they tend to stay with the party that fought for independence. But after some time, the new generation, they were not concerned about independence. They thought that being independent is normal. You don't have to fight for independence. You are already independent. So the appreciation for the struggle of Umno is not felt by the younger generation. They are concerned with other things like race relations, etc. So the desire to vote for PAS changes. Before they saw PAS as retrogressive, as being behind time. But now they couldn't vote for Umno because Umno has deserted the original purpose of the founding of Umno. So they have to find another party. So they found that the only other party that they could support happens to be PAS. So I also follow that trend. So I also agree with them that the old generation is no more. Umno is not the Umno that was founded in 1946. Umno now is a party that is concerned only with making money. So we cannot support Umno. If we cannot support Umno, who do we support? Well, at least PAS is made up of Malays, and they are concerned about the future of Malays. So we team up with them.
Tun, as a Kedahan, you understand the Kedahan psyche more than anyone else. So why did you think, for example, the Kedah Menteri Besar, Sanusi, why do you think he resonate well with Kedahan?
Yeah, but he had to to voice the feelings of the people of Kedah. What happened was that, looking back at history, he would have noticed that Penang was formerly a part of Kedah, but now Penang is a separate state, and Kedah is a different entity. And he found that Penang was very richer, much richer than Kedah. So there is this sense of loss, that they have lost a rich part of Kedah. So he raised the matter because factually Penang was never sold to Light. Yes. Because if you sell, you pay only once, then the thing is yours. But here the agreement says that every year Penang has to pay a certain amount of money to Kedah, which is rental. So what Sanusi was saying was to say that it is a rent, it is not a sale.
I see. But why do you think this wasn't rectified?
Wasn't?
And why this situation, when we gain our independence, why wasn't it rectified then?
No, at the time of independence, Penang, the people of Penang were mainly people who were descendants of migrants who went to Penang because Penang at that time was run by the British as a British colony. And as a British colony, it was open to anybody who wants to stay in Penang. So a lot of people of Chinese origin migrated to Penang, and they outnumbered the local. So at the time when we were seeking for independence, actually the people of Penang, the Chinese, they didn't want to be independent in Malaysia. They want to stay with the British. They want to be like Singapore, remain as a British colony. So there was already a conflict there between Penang Chinese and the mainland Malays. So the mainland Malays want to have independence. The Chinese do not want to have independence. They in fact ask the British, if Malaysia becomes independent, they would be given the right to migrate to Britain and become a British subject. So the attitude of the Penang Chinese and the Kedah Malays were quite different. So at that time, it's not possible for Kedah to claim Penang as its own.
Your critics call you racist, and the Malays call you tak kenang budi because you criticize them despite initially seeking their votes. What do you say to this?
Well, when you do something wrong, you must expect to be criticized. For example, when we were talking about EPF just now, Malays generally do not think about the future. When I say that they should think about the future, I am criticizing them. When you do something wrong, something that hurts you, you must expect to be criticized. So it's not because of kenang budi or not, being grateful or not grateful. It is just that you recognize the weakness of the Malays and you want them to become strong, and to become strong they have to change certain values. It's not about being ungrateful at all.
Well, speaking of Malays, you currently you have this proklamasi Orang Melayu. Can you talk more about that? What is it all about?
Well, under Najib, the Malays have become divided. Some Malays support Najib, knowing full well that he was committing crimes. But because he was giving them money, they supported him. But there are other Malays in UMNO and outside UMNO who were opposed to the bribery and corruption practiced by Najib. So the Malays are divided into two. Not all Malays are the same now. Some are influenced by Najib, some are against Najib. In order to bring down Najib, to stop the bribery and corruption, we have to get the good Malays to oppose the bad Malays, the Malays. So, in fact, in the 14th election, that was what happened. The good Malays reject Najib, and Najib lost the election.
No, don't you think that right now it's ironic? Because ironic in the sense that those who have been espousing the Malays to reject UMNO, right now they are trying to woo Malays to accept UMNO.
No, because UMNO has been thoroughly spoiled. In fact, the UMNO that we have today is not the original UMNO. The original UMNO is not fighting for money. They are fighting for race, country, and religion. That was the original basis for the founding of UMNO. But under Najib, he changed that completely. He said cash is king. So UMNO was fighting for cash, for money, trying to make money out of politics. That is what has destroyed UMNO. And the UMNO that you have today is UMNO in name only. In terms of its objective, it's no longer UMNO. So those who find that UMNO has deviated from the original purpose, those people leave UMNO. And as you can see, where before UMNO in an election would win almost 100 seats, now it has been reduced to about 16 seats, which means that people have rejected UMNO.
Going back to that, people say it's status quo, but actually it's not status quo because UMNO lose big time. So what is the implication of all this?
What is?
What is the implication of all this? I mean, what's happening right now? UMNO is losing the Malays' trust. UMNO is not strong. So as a weak UMNO, what does it spell for Malaysia?
No, UMNO was founded to do certain things. When it deviated, when it became a party that is interested only in making money, I was a president of UMNO. I was a member of UMNO. I couldn't stay with UMNO because it's no longer UMNO. I left. But many people did not follow me because they were interested in getting the money. So it is the people who stayed with UMNO are not holding to the foundation of UMNO, the purpose of founding UMNO. The purpose of founding UMNO is to look after the interests of the Malays and the country. But under Najib, UMNO was only interested in making money. He himself stole billions of dollars. You see, so it is not UMNO. People must understand that it is no longer UMNO. That's why it keeps on losing and losing and losing more and more support.
Going back to your proklamasi Orang Melayu, okay, you were seen as being affiliated with Perikatan Nasional because you were there with PAS. So why, in promoting this Malay proclamation, why must it be done through a partisan politics? Why can't you promote it as something that is outside the ambit of political parties?
No. Well, we would like to do that, but we would never win. It's the same as in the 14th election. We formed Bersatu, but Bersatu by itself could not win, could not defeat UMNO. So Bersatu was forced to work with other opposition parties. including DAP. Not that we like DAP, not that we support DAP, but in order to defeat Najib, we have to have a strong team, opposition, and we have to work with DAP. Always we have to make a choice. Which one is worse than the other? We find that Najib's government was very, very bad, and at the risk of giving the opposition a chance to form the government, then we supported DAP. Not that we support not that we agree with DAP, but in order to defeat UMNO. Unfortunately, the Malays were given a chance to give very strong support to Pakatan Harapan, but they did not. They gave Bersatu only 13 seats. So the Malays in Pakatan Harapan becomes less than the non-Malays. So Pakatan Harapan becomes more non-Malay than Malay. Had the people given Bersatu, say 30 seats or 40 seats, then Pakatan Harapan would have been a very strongly Malay government. But because they didn't, they gave only 13 seats to Bersatu, then the non-Malays become more than the Malays.
Recently, we spoke to your son, Datuk Sri Mukris, and he told us that Gerakan Tanah Air, GTA, is practically dead. So, if GTA couldn't survive that, what makes you think that this Malay proclamation can survive?
Well, the situation has shown that only if the Malays come together, they can then win and form the government. But who are the Malays who can come together? We realize, of course, there are Malay parties like Putra, like Berjasa, like Iman, and all that, but not enough. So we need to have more. Who do we? Ordinary Malays who may be active in the NGOs or who may individually be active. So we have to open up this movement to call it as a Malay movement. They are not with Perikatan. They can use the Perikatan logo, but they are not members of Perikatan. What we want to do is to have all Malays who are against corruption to come together to defeat the corrupt Malays. You see, but unfortunately, of course, Perikatan does not accept that. They want to be on their own.
Okay. Presently, what do you think of the MACC, for example? You know, they are seen as acting upon the prompting of the Prime Minister. What do you think of that?
Sometimes we feel that the MACC was trying to support the government. Why, we don't know. But we think that sometimes clear-cut cases were not given attention by MACC. For example, MACC is involved with investigation into people like Najib and 1MDB, like Zahid, and also many others. But MACC is focusing more on those people who are accused of bribery in the opposition. Those who are not in the opposition does not get the attention of MACC. So people worry, and people think maybe the MACC is biased, that it is focusing only on those who are opposed to the government.
Recently, there has been some sort of a gag order on talking on the 3R issue. race, religion and the royal institution. This supposed ban, do you think it stems from insecurity rather than national security?
I think it is totally wrong. You know, we understand that this country has got different races, that certain issues are sensitive. And in the past also, we have said that you cannot speak about sensitive issues. But this 3R thing is a ban, total ban on speaking about race, whether sensitive or not. That is wrong. Because number one, to have such a very drastic action to stop people from talking is something serious that must be done through the legislative body. That is to say, it has to be brought to Parliament. Parliament must decide to make it into a law. Then, of course, people will know that this is a decision of Parliament. But in this case, it was never brought to Parliament. It was simply a statement made by the Prime Minister, as if he is in total control of the laws of this country. He is not, because in our country, laws are made by Parliament, laws are not made by the Prime Minister. So that is number one, that is wrong. Secondly, it is so general that you cannot say anything at all. You cannot speak about race. For example, if I were to say, I am a Malay, that is already racist. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Constitution itself talks about Malay, talks about the races, and if the Constitution mentions that, it cannot be wrong for us to discuss. But there are certain issues we know. For example, if we go and provoke the other races, then that should be stopped. So this is so general that you cannot talk at all about Malays. Is very undemocratic. It doesn't allow the people to complain. What is the good of election if you cannot talk about what you are not satisfied with? What are your problems? Your problem relates to the Malays. And as you know, the Malays have made a proclamation on 12 items that they are worried about. But with that ban, the Malays cannot talk about their own problem even. That is very undemocratic, total. No specific. I've been trying to find out whether other countries have this same kind of law. There is a law in Florida, in America, which mentions race, but very specific. You cannot talk about race that is related to sex and all that. So it should be specific. What is it that you can say? What is it that you cannot say?
Do you think they're insecure? What do you think they're scared of?
I don't know why they should be scared of, but it is totally undemocratic to use such a total ban just because they are frightened of something.